President Obama faces a tough fight to get Congress to authorize military action against Syria. CNN is keeping track of how lawmakers are leaning.
So by our count, there are 19 confirmed no votes, 25 yes votes in the Senate. In the House, the president's challenge even bigger. 119 members plan to vote no, while just 24 are saying yes.
And among those still undecided is Republican Congressman Mike Coffman of Colorado. He joins us now from Denver. Congressman, you said that you would consider military intervention in Syria if the president could make a good case to Congress. First, let's listen to something they said on Friday at the G20 summit.
Over 1,400 people were gassed. Over 400 of them were children. This is not something we've fabricated. There are times where we have to make hard choices if we're going to stand up for the things that we care about. And I believe that this is one of those times.
We had a colleague from across the aisle, Congressman Grayson, who was on earlier this morning, who said he wants to hear the argument for national interest. Is that what's holding you up? What are you still waiting to hear from the president?
Well, I think that the president's commander-in-chief, and I think he's certainly laid down a marker in terms of the need to take action to deter the Assad government from the further use of chemical weapons. I've served in the Middle East with the United States Marine Corps on multiple tours of duty, to include the first Gulf War and the Iraq War. I know that it's easy to get in, it's hard to get out. And so the questions that I want to ask are, first of all, I want to see the evidence to affirm that the Assad government did direct the use of chemical weapons. I want to see elements of the plan that it would, in fact, be enough to deter the further use of chemical weapons, and that I want to make sure that it doesn't that action doesn't escalate our direct involvement in Syria. So I think there are a lot of questions. And on Monday and Tuesday, I'll be in briefings, intelligence, classified level briefings, where I'll be able to ask the hard questions that we haven't been able to ask to date.
And Congressman, I mean, obviously your role in this is going to be very significant, as many of the members are, and the president is asking for your input here. But does it concern you at all that Friday, when he was asked multiple times whether or not he would move forward with military action without the approval and the authorization from Congress, he did not answer the question that might actually be a possibility, even if one side, one chamber actually says yes and the other says no? Does that concern you at all, that maybe this is not really a useful exercise, but futile?
Well, it's bewildering. I think what is so confusing is the fact that I was on a conference call Friday afternoon, Washington time, with members of the president's national security team, where they were resolute about going forward, and that our conference call really represented their effort to consult with the Congress, and they were not going to take the issue to a vote before Congress. And then in Friday evening, it was leaked out that the president had reversed himself, and he formally announced it on Saturday. So I think that is the confusing part. And then the president, I take a conservative view of the Constitution, that the fact that the United States is neither under attack or threat of attack, that the president does have an obligation to come before the Congress for an up or down vote. The president's position right now is he doesn't have a legal obligation to do so. So the rationale of going before Congress right now, when I think that the president knows that it's an uphill fight in the House, and it's questionable in the Senate, but uphill fight in the House, I'm almost, part of me is asking, does the president want a way out? Or does the president think that this is such a politically sensitive issue, with the tide of public opinion turning against this, that he wants to have the fingerprints of members of Congress on this? It's disappointing, I think, in terms of presidential leadership. But nonetheless, I think that he is the commander-in-chief, and I think the credibility of the United States is on line. He laid down that marker about the red line.
Congressman?
And we know that weakness invites aggression.
I want to get in here really quickly. Some members of the House have said that if members vote yes, they might as well clean out their offices because their constituents do not want this action. Very quickly, what are you hearing from constituents, and do you think that's accurate? that you'll lose your seat if you vote for this?
Oh, I tell you what, I think the calls I'm getting in my office, in the district office back home, and in Washington are overwhelmingly against, really on a bipartisan basis. This is not something really limited to Republicans. But I have to make a decision really not based on the politics of the moment, but what is in the long-term interest of our country.
You think some members will lose their seats because they vote for this action?
I can't speak to that. I think I don't know that, you know, in politics, you know, a month I think is a lifetime sometimes, but the election is, you know, over a year away, so I can't speak to that.
All right. Congressman Mike Coffman in Denver, thank you so much. Appreciate it. To see how your representatives plan to vote on a strike against Syria, visit CNN.com/.